Hey guys, this is Green Dude, trying out this new video series on D2 modding. If you guys like it, I'll keep making more, so we'll see how that goes. Today's video is about just the basics, getting started, downloading the right programs, and getting your Diablo 2 folder set up. In this video, I'm not going to be covering how to install Diablo 2, so you'll need to download it from Battle.net website and install it on your own. If you're using an older version like 1.13, that's okay, that's great. The new version 1.14 is also good. It doesn't really matter for this video series because I'll be focusing on something called soft modding. Soft modding means editing text files, and these text files are in every version, and so they can be carried over from version to version. So if you start your modding in 1.14 or 1.13 and then you realize, oh, that's not the version you want to keep, that's okay, you can move all your stuff. There's something else called hard coding, and hard coding is very version specific, and this involves doing some really low level coding by essentially reverse engineering the executables and the DLL files. That's really high level stuff that even I am not comfortable with, so I will not be covering that in the series. This is something that is more friendly to everybody because you don't need any programming background to follow this video series. You'll be able to edit a large chunk of the game without feeling that restriction. And like I said, even if in the future you do decide to dive into hard coding and you'll need to choose a specific game version for that, all your text file editing or your soft modding will carry over. So I would not worry too much about the version yet, but for the most part in this video series I'll be on 1.14 or 1.13. Anyway, now that that's explained, let's start diving into the first program. So this is where you should pause the video and download all the programs in the description. Everything that's in the description is something that you'll need and that I'll be probably covering in this video. Let's start off with LADIC MPQ Editor. So this program over here, once you have it installed, it should look like this. Then I've also got my Diablo 2 installation done. So the first thing we're going to want to do is find a file called patch_d2.mpq. You can just drag it in here. Now to open it, you need something called a list file. That's also going to be provided in the description. So find your list file. Once you click OK, what that does, the list file, is it tells the program what is inside the MPQ, because the MPQ is equivalent to a zip. Think of it as a zip file. But you can't see what's inside the zip file unless you have the list file, because this is the list that it gives you, is the file tree. So now I'm able to see everything that's inside that MPQ. And you can see that there's a folder structure. For example, in the MPQ, the first folder is data, and then it keeps going down and divides itself into multiple folders. What we actually want to do is create a data folder in Diablo 2 installation folder. Okay, so now we need to create the structure in our Diablo 2 folder, so go ahead and create a new folder called data. You might be tempted to just drag the folder into your Diablo 2 installation folder, but for whatever reason, maybe it's just my program, if I do that, it'll just drag every single file separately into the folder without maintaining this structure here. So maybe it's just something I've never learned, but I've always just done it manually. There are other MPQ editors out there as well, so maybe one of them is better, but I'm just going to be showing you everything that I learned. With the tools that I learned, or used rather. So right now I'm just recreating this structure over here. So you can see I created a data folder, data at the top. Inside my data I should have these two. Inside the global, I should have Excel. Excel is where you'll be spending a lot of your time. So we're going to go ahead and open it up right now. You've got all these files. Now, you can drag all of these in, but just for this video, I'm going to only drag the text files, and I'll show you why later. So now I've got all these text files into the Excel folder. So we're done with Excel. Going back to global, you can see that next is items. So I guess I should introduce them as we do them. So Excel is where you'll be doing all of the text file editing, or as the name suggests, it's kind of like an Excel sheet. And that's where you'll be modifying a lot of things. Then you've got the items folder, and this is item images. DC6 is images. Now, you don't need to learn everything now, like you'll probably forget some of these things. We'll cover them in the future. But I just want to introduce them, get you familiar with them. So the first one is items, and this is where you put extra item images. So if you have any custom sword, or if you want to take an item from another game like Diablo 4 or Path of Exile or whatever, and you want to use those images in D2, then that's where you do it. Same thing here, but now with monsters. Whoops, with an S. For monsters, there's only one here. I'm not going to worry about this one yet, actually. I don't need it. Then there's SFX. Again, this one we don't need right now, so we're not going to move any files yet. Yeah, we'll do that later. Then there's tiles. Again, these folders here, we don't have to do them right now. They're not important. Then there's UI. And we'll skip the UI as well. So this is the global files. Now let's go back and finish the local file folder. This one we want to do right now. LNG for language. Mac UI. Just a regular UI. Okay, don't worry about the other ones. Go into the LNG folder, and then here there's multiple languages. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to focus on English, of course. Not only is this a English video series, but also if you don't include other languages, then that just means that when people play with installations that have other languages, they might experience bugs or crash. So if you don't translate the full game in all languages, then you'll have to just tell your players, hey, use an English installation, which is what I do. Okay, in the English folder, I put the patchstring.tbl. Now this is what you want to do now. You want to set this up, and we can skip everything else for now. One of the programs that I put in the description and that you've downloaded by now is a TBL editor. I think it's by AFJ. And yeah, AFJ TBL edit. So there's two AFJ programs I've included. One of them is to edit spreadsheets, and one of them is to edit these TBL files, which are the string tables. String tables are just all the words in the game. So what you do is you reference something in this left column. For example, skill D224, and then you write what that string is, so transform into a werewolf. So when the game asks you what is the description of werewolf, you write skills D224, and then here you write what it says. Again, you don't have to worry about this. We're going to cover everything, but I'm just giving you an introduction to the programs that we'll be using to start with, and this is one of them. So one thing you can already do is double click this file to open it, and when Windows asks you how do you want to open it, you can choose AFJ TBL edit, and even check off the box that says always open with that. So now I can just double click it and it's ready. Okay, so at this point we have our installation set up. One of the things you want to do now is right click your Diablo2.exe, and you can create, oh here it is, create shortcut. So here I have a shortcut already made of this exe, but when I open it, go to properties, you can see here yours will look a little more like this. So in the target field, just move your cursor all the way to the end where you see the end quotes, and then do, and this will be in the description as well, space dash direct space dash txt. I also recommend doing -W so that you don't crash, because full screen is pretty bad. This we don't need for now. So your path should look like this. Just in case you're curious, direct means load the files from data if they exist. So you saw that in the beginning I said, oh, we don't need to carry over all the files, right? We can do that later. Well, that's because if the file is missing, it'll look for it in patch_d2.mpq instead of your data folder. But we do want our data folder to be read instead of patch_d2 if we've got a file there. So for example, the text files we moved in the TBL files. So direct is telling the game to do that. Text is the same thing as direct, but only for the Excel files. So direct is like animations, strings, and then this is Excel sheet or Excel folder. W is just windowed mode. Click apply. So now instead of opening this one, we open this one. Make sure you close your MPQ editor before opening the game. Sometimes if you, for example, if you open a program, if you open the program with that file and then you try to open Diablo 2, it won't work because the file is busy under MPQ Editor. So just close that and then you can launch the game. So now we know that the game is working, it's in windowed mode. Okay, so now in the next step, we want to make sure that the changes we're committing are being reflected into the game. So open up your AFJ sheet editor. This is what it looks like. At the top left, you have an icon for opening a folder. Click that. Navigate to your Excel folder. So just to remind you, in the Diablo 2, you have Diablo 2, Data, Global, Excel. So that's where you want to navigate in this program, and then you'll be able to see this list here. You can open up any text file from here, but we're going to find skills.txt specifically. Open that up. So as you can see, it's just a Excel sheet, essentially a spreadsheet, and a lot of things can be changed in the game here. This one is specifically for skills. So one of the things we can do is change a skill that we would have easy access to, like a level 1 skill, and just see if that change appears in the game. Let's see. So for example, how about I find Firebolt? So Firebolt is over here. This is the row number 38. And one thing that I like to do is enable this button here, which is Fix First Row. That just means that if I scroll down, this row number one stays at the top. And therefore I can keep seeing what each column does. And you can do the same thing on this side. Just note that if you have one of these fixed, you cannot search for it. So for example, if I do Control F to search and I wanted to find this skill here, throw, if I search for throw right now, I'm not going to find it because it's fixed. So make sure you unfix it and then you can search. But the top row is usually pretty safe to do. But again, if in the video I say look for a certain column and you can't find it, just uncheck this. Click at the top because it'll only search below where you are. And then Control F and you can search. Okay, so now Firebolt. And just keep going to the right until you find the mana cost, which is somewhere over here. Here it is. It's just called mana, column FS. Now that I'm here, I can't see the skills on the left. So I'm just going to click fix first column, and now I can see my skills. So if I look here, Firebolt is here, and mana is here, so the part I want to edit is right there. Mana cost is not actually 5, but I'll explain that in another video. For now, let's just make this a crazy number, like 99. At the top here, you can click save. So let's see if our changes work. Now don't be confused about the mana cost. I know that we typed in 99 and it says 49. I'll explain that in a different video, but you can obviously see that it worked. The usual mana cost of Firebolt is not 49. It's much lower than that, so clearly our changes are being reflected, so you know that you've done it well. Like I said, we'll be diving into how to edit skills and stuff like that in another video. But in this video, we're just getting you set up with the programs and everything. Okay, the last program that we should install and test out is called 6dice, which will allow you to change or open DCC files and DC6 files, which are the images. Think of it as like GIF files or GIFs. Now the problem with this program, in my experience, is that it's terrible to open up, and there's a bunch of bugs with it. But it is one of the better tools in my experience, so I use it. I know that there are other image tools out there, and maybe in the future there'll be a better one, or maybe someone already knows of a better one. But for my video series, I'm going to be using 6dice, so I think it's best to get the same one as me and follow along. But if you know how to use another program, then you can go ahead and use that. Now 6dice, when you open it, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You need to actually try an image to find out if it works. So let me just see. So my program now is not working. I opened the file, but everything's just frozen. This happens all the time, and there's nothing else to do other than keep trying. So I'm going to open another one. Okay, now you see the program is working fine. That's just one of the quirks of it. I'll have to kill this in Task Manager later. Anyway, so what you want to do is once you have this program open and working, go to File, Open, and then navigate to your folder, your Diablo 1.14 or 1.13 folder or whatever. And then Data. Then you can see we have all our folders global. And so here is where you would go into items or monsters in order to, play around with some of the images. For example, let's go into items and we can open one of these. And you can see that this one is the essence. And so if I wanted to create a new item, I could do that in here. I could click new, and then I could do import, and then you could import a normal image like BMP, GIF, JPEG, and then save it as a DCC or DC6 into here, and then you could reference these in the game. Again, I'm only going over like the basics here. I'm not going to deep dive into it. We will have a video on this. But this is essentially how you add custom art into the game. Just make sure that this program is working, and then you're good to go. Okay, so before we end this video, you now have everything that you need, but if you ever have questions or need additional help, there is d2mods.info, which is a very valuable resource. There's so much information, and people have already asked the questions that you're probably having, and so you can find answers by searching for in the forums. Additionally, they have a Discord, which I highly recommend. I'm in the Discord myself. So feel free to get help here, and if you have any questions, you can also ask me by leaving it in the comments below, or you can join their Discord, and through there you'll be able to ask everybody, including myself, a question in the chat. So I hope you enjoy this. If you do, let me know, and I'll keep making more. Thanks.